Hi, I'm Rebecca Knox, and this is Two Mics Up.
007.
What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. It's Two Mics Up, brand new episode. And man, today's guest. Man, how can I succinctly say who's going to be joining me today on the other mic? Man, this artist, this woman is incredible. She really does it all. From acting, writing, producing, modeling, entrepreneurship, you name it. Like, you put your hand in the hat and you'll have to keep picking and picking and picking till you really get every piece of today's guest. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring to you on the other mic today our amazing guest, the wonderful, the beautiful, the enchanting Rebecca Knox. How you doing today, Rebecca?
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm doing so well now.
Hey, look,
Man,
I have to be honest about it. Like, I mean, digging into, your past and your work. It's just amazing when you really take time to look at the full breadth of work, and you're still really on that upward trajectory, in all the things that you're doing. But before we really get into that, I have to start at the beginning, Rebecca. Like, you have a very interesting background. One, I got to give shout out because when I was doing this, I was like, oh, I see the energy. She's from New York. Oh, I got another New Yorker. Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, indeed. Second thing I noticed is you a Taurus too.
Oh,
Okay. So that's where the vibe. Okay, so I was really about pocket. So I got to start at the beginning because your background, your family dynamic is really incredible. So, tell us a little bit about who Rebecca Knox is, where she's from, her background, the whole mix. Because I was really excited to read this about you, and I want you to share that with our audience.
yeah. Okay. Well, yes, I'm from New York. I was born in Harlem. I am half
Okay.
Colombian and half German.
Ooh.
I spent some time growing up in Long Island and also in the city, in New York City. Yeah.
So when you're not actually doing or wearing all of your hats, like, 'cause, I mean, it's got to be a lot of time that you're into so many things. But who is Rebecca the person when she's not really juggling all of these different hats?
Okay. Well, if I'm not juggling the hats, then I'm usually staring off into space thinking about the hats.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm ever off fully, but
Wow.
I do love spending time at home with my fiance and my dog and cooking and being with my family. I'm with my family as much as possible and cooking
Wow.
and watching movies.
you know, and it's incredible. I think that's a woman thing because I heard you say, when you're not working or doing all of those things, you're sitting down somewhere
Mhm.
thinking about those things. And I don't know if that it sounds like my wife, like, never turns off. It's always the next thing. And
Uh-huh.
maybe that's apropos for you then, because with those, like I said, you write, you produce, you direct, you're an actress, you know, doing those first three things, how do they really, I guess, influence, if you will, your creative juices, as an actor, and then maybe vice versa? Like, how do they play off for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
they absolutely do. Being an actor where you're constantly waiting for someone to give you a job, a lot of the time, it feels bad, in my opinion, to just sit around and wait. So
Mhm.
I started dipping my feet in other pockets because I was like, I want to know how everything is done. I love being in the world of film and TV. So I just started learning and taking on jobs and helping my friends with their films. And the way it's helped me is, because I started acting first, being on the other side of the camera, it's easy to
Mm.
talk to actors.
Okay.
Because as an actor, I know how I like to be communicated with.
Mhm.
When we have to do something like, say, in a scene, because I've directed before now, and I like to be communicated in a way that an actor would understand, you
Gotcha.
know? and I like things to be mapped out. I like, the marks to be mapped and everything. So it
Mm,
kind of all helps. It helps everything. And as an actor, it's really good to know how the other side of the camera works,
mm.
how everything is done. The whole film is made because of hundreds of people, you
You
know?
know, that makes me think then too. Like, has now being able to really be on both sides. Do you feel that that's helped? I don't want to say create a better, but has it helped you? Emerge and engage yourself and immerse yourself into becoming, the best version of Rebecca each and every time she appears before the screen or even behind the screen.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I feel so much more confident when I'm on screen and off screen. I just feel more confident in who I am
Mm-hmm.
and like taking up space, I guess. When I started acting, I pretended like I was just comfortable and I knew what I was doing all the time, when in reality I was so
Hmm.
nervous, like inside.
Right.
And now, as time has passed and I've really just gotten accustomed to the world and also stepping into so many different shoes, it's made me much more of a full-fledged artist, I'd say, because
Mm.
I not only know what the people behind the camera are thinking and doing, but also like what I can be doing better in any kind of job.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Has that, and I like how you said it because it helped you evolve. But like sometimes, again, because I go back to your original thing where your mind doesn't go off. Do you find yourself, because maybe early on, like you say, not having the confidence that you double guess maybe some of your scenes, right? I see it. So, but now though, having a little being a little more seasoned or whatever, is there less of that? And is this, because we're going to talk about it, like, watching you, in Orange is the New Black, and playing Tina. You had this thing,
Mhm.
but moving forward since then, like, have you found there's just a confidence that, when you walk in, whether it be, for a call maybe, or for a role, or just being on set, like, you know what, I nailed that, I got that, where now you don't really double guess, your initial, I'm not sure.
Right. Well, I don't know if I'd ever say that I fully feel like I ever get it,
Hmm.
but I'm much more confident in the choices. I go with it. And I
Gotcha.
go with conviction. I'm like, this is the choice I made. I'm going to do it. So it's gotten easier in that way, you know?
I
It's
gotcha.
yeah.
I love that. I like to hear that because, some people, because even today, like, I've had people ask me, oh man, watch your show when you're doing this. Like, I still get butterflies. It's still like the first time, and even though I definitely can say I'm more confident in it and the production and everything, but just being a human being, like sometimes, like even before coming on with you today, it's like, oh man, I'm excited, but still got those little butterflies. So I just
Mhm.
want to, even from a professional, like yourself, does that ever,
Yeah.
change? You know,
Um yeah, I mean, it doesn't go away. I don't think it goes away. I just did a movie this year, not too long ago, where I got the call, and it was kind of like this emergency. They were recasting a role, and they already started production. And they called me, and they were like, "Rebecca, we think you're perfect for this. We don't have time for you to audition. We're going to give you the part if
wow,
you want to do it, but you have to get on a plane to New Orleans today
wow,
and learn the script. It's this many pages. It was a huge stack. I was in almost every single scene.
wow,
And I don't know if I would have been able to handle it in the same way.
yeah,
5 years ago, I feel like I got that job and yeah, I was nervous because that's a
yeah,
lot of pressure. I want to do a good job. I want to help these people make their movie. But
right.
on the other hand, I trusted myself and I was like,
Mm.
you know what? I can handle this.
You,
I've been doing this for a long time now,
and
and I feel excited.
I
I
can't.
hope that it comes out soon.
That's right. I can't. We can't wait. Whenever you get a chance to share it, we wanna know so that we can share because we want to see you in action. You
Of
know,
course.
of course. And talking about you being in action, I referenced Orange is the New Black, and you know, I'm really curious to know because this has to be, this is the magic, I guess, if you will, of movie making and TV making from artists like yourself. How did you really get into character, if you will? You're enjoying your freedom every day, as a human being outside of prison or jail, but you had to play this character that was incarcerated. So
Mhm.
how did you really get into that mindset to be able to do that grind day after day and really come across believable? Because I mean, it was really believable.
Yeah, well, it was really nerve-wracking. I really wanted to do the character justice, and I have such a different reality. My life
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
so different. It took a lot for me to just kind of understand what it must feel like, the mindset to be
Right.
incarcerated, and also like what circumstances brought Tina to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself to do the character justice and do the research. I did a ton of research. And I worked on it in acting class. Like I did different, activities just to kind of feel it out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely it was a lot of pressure, and it took a lot of prep work, and I feel like that's a good way to approach any character. But and also, being on that set with so many powerhouse actors, there's a lot of pressure in that way too. I wanted to show up
Imagine.
and do a good job. I mean, I was 24 when I did my
Right.
first day, so I was young and green and nervous, and also, I really wanted to do a good job. So
Well, you really stood out in our opinion, and really um hit the ground running, I guess, if you will. And it was very powerful. And you mentioned being a part of such a powerhouse cast
mhm.
and having to show up every day. I'm pretty sure there had to be some type of funny stories or anything. And what really comes to mind to me is like, when the series ended, on set, of such a huge hit at the time, are there any memorable moments or stories that you can share?
Yeah, well, Danielle Brooks, she was on the
Hmm.
show, and
Hmm.
she was nominated, I think,
Yep.
recently,
Yep.
but for The Color Purple. But
Hmm.
yeah, so it was the last day, and she brought in a huge pan of homemade banana pudding.
Oh wow.
Like I was one of the first to try it, and we were in her dressing room, and it was just so exciting for me at the end to feel like after 2 years, I finally felt like I was a part of the community,
Wow.
and I was accepted, and it felt like we were just such a team. And I remember going back to my dressing room at the end of the last day and just crying because it was such a wonderful experience, and
Hmm.
it'll live in my memory forever.
Wow. I could only imagine, just the love and the community that was built, from that show. And like, do you stay in touch with some of the cast, and do you guys still interact and hang out or maybe meet or yeah, oh, that's
Of
awesome.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, some of my good friends are Emily Tarver. She was one of the guards. What's her McCullough. That was
Mm-hmm.
I always like mispronounce it. McCullough, and then Vicky Martinez played Daddy, and she was my gang leader, and she's a
Hmm.
friend of mine. And then Alice Kremelberg,
Yeah.
she was Angle. What was her character's name? I
I
don't
I
remember.
I think it was Angle something along
Yeah,
those
there
lines.
were so many characters too. That
Yes.
was another thing. Like,
Yes.
oh gosh.
That's amazing. I'm curious, like as you've kind of transitioned, through your growth, like you said, starting out, you know, 20 in your 20s and really getting into the industry on the acting side, you've really uh transitioned, if you will, because now you've gone into your own work and you have a new piece
Mm.
that you have really put your hands on. And I'm excited to be able to sit here and talk with you about it, share with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna let Rebecca talk about her piece, and I'm gonna let her intro her own piece and give us a little background about your piece, Rebecca.
Okay, yeah, so thank you. Yeah, so I have started dabbling into the world of documentary filmmaking,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of excited at the prospect of trying, stepping into the world of film that isn't acting per se, because I just love making things, and I think there's so many interesting people in the world that I want to showcase. And one of these
Mm.
people is a friend of mine named
Mhm.
Rosewood. She is a performer and she's in her late 60s. She lives at the Chelsea Hotel, which is like iconic New York. You know, that's where Patti Smith lived. That's where
Yep.
Robert Mapplethorpe lived. That's where Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen got into their stabbing arguments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those iconic places. It's like a dying part of New York.
Yeah.
And so she's one of the final residents there that's been there for over
Wow.
30 years. And she's just a fascinating creature. She's, you know, she's nocturnal. She
Mm-hmm.
only eats red meat. She meditates. She works out. She's jacked. She's so strong. And she does these really intense shows at the Box. And the Box is a famous club in New York and London. They're known for being really wild in there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the queen of the Box. And I just want to highlight her story because when you see her on stage, she is this one person. But then when you see her in her home, she's so soft and so smart and gentle. And she has 36 rotating acts that have some incredible backstories.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that she's just such a fascinating relic of New York. You
Well,
know, she is a part of New York. She like is a representation of like that really creative punk rock,
yeah.
you know?
And I found that to be so odd for me because I vaguely, you know, kind of diving into it. It took me back home, you know, coming from New York and growing up in New York. And I was really trying to get like, was there more inspiration, I guess, behind this other than the fascination and just the big storyline? Was there like one thing that really inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to bring this to life. I'm going to bring this to everyone. And what do you want the audience to take away, you
Mhm.
know, from watching the documentary?
Yeah, well, she has played a really big part in inspiring me and my
Okay.
art. I started seeing her perform when I was a teenager,
Oh wow.
and there are performances she's done that are burned in my memory.
Mm,
And there's something about her, just her commitment to the
hmm.
complete absurd, and she goes so hardcore into it. She's so punk in that way, and I just love, you know, punk. Uh, so she inspired me greatly, and you know, she reminds me of performers like Charlie Chaplin. And I think for what I really want to do with this piece is it showcases her creative process
Hmm.
and how she formulates a character.
Right.
And I think it can be really helpful for other artists to see that, especially someone who's a veteran. You know, she's in her
Hmm.
late 60s. She's pushing
Hmm.
70,
Wow.
and she's been around and she has so many stories. And she takes from her life and people and places and news, and then
Mm,
she formulates characters. So I think that what's important here is her process,
I like that.
and I think that it's good to highlight artists' process, and it may not look like mine, but it
Yeah.
could inspire something. And I think that, you know, that's what we've talked about. Rose and I have
Yes.
talked about how she wants to leave behind kind of like a workbook of
I love it.
for others to be like, "Oh, that's interesting."
I love it, and I think that really, and the reason why I ask that because it really jives the educational piece of leaving a legacy or like a blueprint,
Mhm,
right? And like you said so eloquently, it doesn't have to be how you do things, but if you're really, and I'm gonna say this, an artist, and you're looking for ways to maybe sometimes reinvent yourself, or you're attacking a character that maybe you've never had an opportunity to attack or present, she's giving you ways of a process, if
mhm,
you will. And I love that, and I think, you know, for someone like yourself who really, like I said, you're on your trajectory to bring that to others. But I can only imagine just being a part of that, what you actually soaked in
mhm,
and what you actually, because now I can only imagine what, and it makes me just really think like, does, do you really pick and choose your roles, or like now from learning this process, will you actually be more selective in
mm.
choosing roles? Where before I understand, you know, you want to work, we all got
Yeah,
to work,
we
but
all
like,
gotta work.
but does this help to also give you a different perspective on maybe the type of roles you would select or would, you know, prefer? now
Mhm.
that you've kind of soaked in some of this information from
I
her?
mean, definitely. I'm probably still gonna, take more than,
I know. Gotta work.
in terms of, like, because I love writing my own characters, and I
Okay.
started to make my own films,
Right.
I've made 2 of my own films already. It definitely inspires me to kind of, no matter what anyone says about what box you fit in, you choose
Mm,
the box you wanna fit in, and I
yeah.
think that's what Rose does. She fits in her own box, and she's not conventional. And yeah, of course, I'm gonna, do the work that comes, but
Mhm.
also I want to stay true to myself,
Yeah.
and I want to honestly write the roles that I would like to play
I love that.
and get them made however I can.
I love that. And I think that's important, just in the world that we live in today now. And tell me if I'm wrong, the entertainment industry has kind of changed somewhat, where now you have more things like this, like podcasts and streaming services and different things, different outlets to be able to get your work done. Do you find that for you as a creative, because you're very creative, is that more of a blessing for you because now you have the additional avenues to be able to go ahead and maybe not raise as much funds, but
Mm,
you can still put out quality work and still tell your story and share a message?
absolutely. I think the art world, it's changed so much, and the film
Mm,
and TV world has changed, but
mhm.
we do have everyone has a camera at their fingertips now.
True.
If you really wanted to make something, you know, it's not about, the quality of your camera and the money that you have. It's like, are you
Right.
gonna actually do it?
Right. That's
And then
real.
are you gonna put yourself out there? And that's the
Mm,
scariest part for a lot of artists. I mean, myself included. Sometimes I'm just not feeling myself, and then I know I have to promote and I have to do, and
yeah.
it's really hard, but you gotta
Yeah.
just say, "Shit, I'm just gonna jump off
You
the
up to do it.
yeah, just gonna do it." Not everyone can, like,
Yeah.
you can promote yourself. It's
I
easy.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and that's why I think that's the beauty of where things are today. Where I like how you're not, we're all, you get to choose what box you want to be put in.
Yeah.
But the landscape has changed so much that you can be in just that box today. Tomorrow, you know what, I can be in this box, and
Mhm.
then Wednesday I can be in that box. So
Exactly.
it does change, and there's a lot more flexibility. And I mean, time is really flying, through today's I mean, I'm having such fun, just talking with you and just getting to know more about you and your work. But I have to ask, Rebecca, um, if there was one character that you could play from, you know any whatever your favorite movie may be, or whatever your favorite, you're laughing, I can't wait to hear this, and whatever show, outside of Orange Is the New Black, um you could play, who would it be and why?
Okay, well, my top choice, it's not necessarily my favorite movie, but it's one of
Okay.
my favorite characters of all time. It's
Okay.
Marla from Fight Club.
Okay.
Helena Bonham Carter with her
Wow.
crazy hair, and she's actually
Wow.
wearing one of these, I think, and she's smoking a cig, and she looks like a rat that came out of
I
out of
love
her,
it.
I don't know. She looks like a dirty calico cat that's been
Yes.
on the street forever.
Yeah.
Like, I just love everything about that character, and, like, how she kind of slinks around, and, she's not your typical, leading lady. She's more of a
No.
femme fatale, and, there's something offbeat about her. I love the characters that are offbeat. I feel
Wow.
like I relate to those characters,
Really?
Yeah. I would love to. I mean, hey, I'm down to play, like, the girl next door, but I relate to the weirdos, because 'cause I'm a
Yeah.
weirdo. What am
Yeah.
I
You like that energy. You like to bring that the thing that I like to call it is that thing that's off. Like, but when it's off though, you notice it and you know what it is. And I can see you, a very attractive young lady, but you have this energy. Even like when we watch Orange is the New Black and some of the other work, your presentation and your energy on screen is effective. It's like, oh, who's that? And I can see what you're talking about, even playing in that type of role. I can see your energy bringing that. Okay, who the crazy chick?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
I think there's so many, like, interesting layers to play with, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Rebecca, you're so awesome and amazing. Before we go, I want to make sure I allow you some time to go ahead and share your social media. I want to make sure our audience goes out, follow, support. We're going to make sure we put that in the show notes. Yeah, you're a blast. You're amazing, and really thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you so much. You're a blast, and you're
Thank
amazing, and you're a Taurus.
you. Hey, all day. You know how we do.
Okay, look, Tauruses are the best. That's it.
Okay, tell them again. Period.
Tauruses are the best. So my socials are at the Rebecca Knox, and that's on TikTok and Instagram. If you want to have a laugh and see how weird I can get, look at TikTok.
I love it. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we drop that in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and add TikTok to that at the Rebecca Knox. She is incredible, infectious, and so much fun. Kudos to you and all your work. And please, hey, when is your documentary? Like, do you have a date? When it's dropping, or
There's no date yet, but we just got some more funding to finish some
okay,
more filming, and then we're gonna do the post-production thing. So if you follow me on Instagram, you're gonna see the whole process,
okay,
and hopefully it'll be out in the next year.
okay. So we'll be in touch. We're going to continue to follow. We want to make sure we get that. And hey, look, you're more than welcome to come back when the documentary actually drops and airs. And if you just want to just talk about the documentary, you're part of the family.
Thank
Come
you
on
so
back, and we'll be happy to share it in full here on the show. Okay.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure and my honor. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the incredible, the beautiful Rebecca Knox. Go out, support her, check out all of her work. Uh, IG, TikTok at the Rebecca Knox. And it's been another amazing show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your man, Damon Cunningham, aka Dame D NYDC. This is Two Mics Up, Man of Celebrity Talk Show. We rocking season 7 on the Mogul TV Global Network, #1 network for positive programming. We're in 45 countries, 100 million viewable subscribers. Check me out Monday nights, 8 p.m. and check out my network mates. Plus, by the time that this airs, you're checking us out on the Infusion TV channel, my new TV channel, part of the Mogul TV Global Network. We're bringing you all new shows that's streaming, that's totally inspiring. Check us out. And as we close today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with 2 things and one other little note. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out. 007.